Hey, my vibrations, it's V to the I to the B to the mother of 5E. Chapter 3, The Power of Intention. Sorry I'm getting this video to you so late. Ooh, almost forgot. And my 100-day reality challenge videos. I might restart my season just because I haven't really felt it's not there for me yet. So I might restart my season. But let's go ahead and get into chapter 3. Okay? Connecting to intention. The law of flotation was not discovered by contemplating the sinking of things, but by contemplating the floating of things which floated naturally and then intelligently asking why they did so. Thomas Throward. Examine this observation by the great mental science practitioner of the early 20th century, Thomas Troward. In the early days of shipbuildings, ships were made of wood, and the reasoning was that wood floats in water and iron sinks. Yet today, ships all over the world are built of iron. As people began studying the law of flotation, it was discovered that anything could float if it's lighter than the mass of liquid it displaces. So today, we're able to make iron float by the same law that makes it sink. Keep this example in mind as you read and apply the contents of this chapter on connecting to all that you're intended to become. The key word here is contemplating, or what you're placing your thoughts on as you begin utilizing the enormous potential and power of intention. You must be able to connect to intention, and you can't access and work with intention if you're contemplating the impossibility of being able to intend and manifest. You can't discover the law of co-creation if you're contemplating what's missing. You can't discover the power of awakening if you're contemplating things that are still asleep. The secret to manifesting anything that you desire is your willingness and ability to realign yourself so that your inner world is in harmony with the power of intention. Every single modern advance that you see and take for granted was created, and creating is what we're doing here in this book by someone contemplating what they intended to manifest. The way to establish a relationship with spirit and access the power of this creating principle is to continuously contemplate yourself as being surrounded by the conditions you wish to produce. I encourage you to emphasize this idea by underlying the previous sentence both in this book and in your mind. Dwell on this idea of a supreme infinite power producing the results that you desire. This power is the creative power of the universe. It's responsible for everything coming into focus. By trusting it to provide the form and the conditions for its manifestation, you establish a relationship to intention that allows you to be connected for as long as you practice this kind of personal intent. The Wright brothers didn't contemplate the staying on the ground of things. Alexander Graham Bell didn't contemplate the non-communication of things. Thomas Edison didn't contemplate the darkness of things. In order to float an idea into your reality, you must be willing to do a somersault into the inconceivable and land on your feet, contemplating what you want instead of what you don't have. You'll then start floating your desires instead of sinking them. The law of manifestation is like the law of flotation, and you must contemplate it working for you instead of contemplating it not working. This is accomplished by establishing a strong connecting link between you and the invisible, formless field of energy, the power of intention. Entering into the spirit of intention. Whatever you intend to create in your life involves generating the same life-giving quality that brings everything into existence. The spirit of anything, the quality that allows it to come into the world of form, is true as a general principle. So why not activate it within you? The power of intention simply awaits your ability to make the connection. We've already established that intention isn't a material substance with measurable physical qualities. As an example of this, think of artists. Their creations aren't merely a function of the quality of the paint, brush, canvas, or any other combination of materials they use. To understand and grasp the creation of a masterpiece, to understand and grasp the creation of a masterpiece, we have to take into account the thoughts and feelings of the artist. We must know and enter into the movement of the creative mind of the artist in order to understand the creation process. The artist creates something out of nothing. Without the thoughts and feelings of the artist, there would be no art. It's the particular creative mind in contemplation that links to intention to give birth to what we call an artistic creation. This is how the power of intention worked in creating you, someone new, entirely unique, someone out of nothing. Reproducing this in yourself means encountering the creative impulse and knowing that the power of intention is reaching for the realization of all that it feels and that it is expressing itself as you. What you're feeling is a function of how you're thinking, what you're contemplating, and how your inner speech is being formulated. If you could tap into the feeling of the power of intention, you'd sense that it is ever increasing and confident in itself, because it's a formative power so infallible that it never misses its mark. It's always increasing and creating. The forward movement of spirit is a given. The power of intention yearns toward fuller expressions of life, just as the artist's feelings pour out into a fuller expression of his or her ideas and thoughts. Feelings are clues about your destiny and potential, and they're seeking the full expression of life through you. How do you enter into the spirit of intention, which is all about feelings of expressing life? You can nurture it by your continual ongoing expectation of the infallible spiritual law of increase being a part of your life. We saw it through our imaginary capacity to see higher vibrations. And we heard it in the voice given to it by spiritual masters throughout the ages. It's everywhere. It wants to express life. It's pure love in action. It's confident. And guess what? You are it, but you've forgotten. You need to simply trust your ability to cheerfully rely upon spirit to express itself through and for you. Your task is to contemplate the energies of life, love, beauty, and kindness. Every action that's in harmony with this originating principle of intention gives expression to your own power of intention. Your will and your imagination. There's no disputing the existence of your free will. You're a being with a mind capable of making choices. Indeed, you're in a continuous state of deliberate choice making during your life. This isn't about free will versus predetermined destiny, but look carefully at how you've chosen to rely on your ability to will yourself toward whatever you desire. Intention in this book isn't about having a strong desire and backing it up, but a pit bull kind of determination. Having a strong will and being filled with resolve to accomplish inner goals is asking ego to be the guiding force in your life. I will do this thing. I will never be stupid. I will never give up. These are admirable traits, but they won't reconnect you to intention. Your willpower is so much less effective than your imagination, which is your link to the power of intention. Imagination is the movement of the universal mind within you. Your imagination creates the inner picture that allows you to participate in the act of creation. It's the invisible connecting link to manifesting your own destiny. Try to imagine willing yourself to do something that your imagination doesn't want you to do. Your will is the ego part of you that believes you're separate from others, separate from what you like to accomplish or have, and separate from God. It also believes that you are your acquisitions, achievements, and accolades. This ego will wants you to constantly acquire evidence of your importance. It pushes you toward providing your superiority and acquiring things you're willing to chase after with the hyper dedication and resolve. On the other hand, your imagination is the concept of spirit within you. It's the God within you. Read William Blake's description of imagination. Blake believed that with imagination we have the power to be anything that we desire to be. I rest not from my great task, to open the eternal worlds, to open the immortal eyes of man, inwards into the worlds of thought, into eternity ever expanding in the bosom of God, the human imagination. From Jerusalem by William Blake. Now go back to the idea of willing yourself to do something when your imagination says no. An example of a fire walk comes to my mind. You can stare at those hot coals and will yourself to walk across them. And if you rely exclusively on your willpower, you end up with severe burns and blisters. But if you imagine yourself divinely protected, in Blake's words, in the bosom of God, and can see yourself in your imagination able to be something beyond your body, you can accomplish the fire walk unscathed. Excuse me. As you imagine yourself impervious to the heat of the red hot coals, you begin to feel yourself as something beyond your body. You visualize yourself as stronger than fire. Your inner picture of purity and protection lets you will yourself to walk across the coals. It's your imagination that allows you to be safe. Without it, you'd be scorched. I recall imagining myself being able to complete my first marathon run of 26 plus miles. It wasn't my will that got me through those 3.5 hours of continuous running. It was my inner imagination. I tuned into it and then allowed my body to be pushed to its limit through my will. Without that image, no amount of will would have been sufficient for me to complete that endeavor. And so it is with everything. Willing yourself to be happy, successful, wealthy, number one, famous, the top salesperson, or the richest person in your community are ideas born of the ego and its obsessive self-absorption. In the name of this willpower, people run roughshod over anyone who gets in their way, cheating, stealing, and deceiving to accomplish their personal intention. Yet, these kinds of practices will ultimately lead to disaster. You may achieve the physical goal of your individual intention. However, your imagination, that inner place where you do all of your living, won't allow you to feel peaceful. I've used this power of imagination over my will in the production of all of my life's work. For instance, I see myself as having already completed this book. This thinking from the end causes me to behave as if all that I'd like to create is already here. My credo is, imagine myself to be and I shall be. And it's an image that I keep with me at all times. I don't complete a book because I have a strong will to do so. That would mean I believe that it's me, the body named Wayne Dyer, that's doing all of this. Whereas my imagination has no physical boundaries and no name called Wayne Dyer. My imagination is my very own chip off the old block of intention. It provides what I need and allows me to sit here and write. It guides my pen in my hand and fills in all the blanks. I, Wayne Dyer, am not willing this book into reality. My picture of it is so clear and precise that it manifests itself. In ancient times, a divine being named Hermes wrote, "That which is manifested, that which has been or shall be, is unmanifested, but not dead. For soul, the eternal activity of God, animates all things." A couple more paragraphs. These are significant words to ponder as you think about reconnecting to intention and gaining the power to create anything that's in your imagination. You, your body, and your ego do not intend, do not create, do not animate anything into life. Set your ego aside. By all means, have an aim in life and be full of determination, but rid yourself of the illusion that you're the one who's going to manifest your heart's desire through your will. It's your imagination that I want you to focus on throughout the reading of this book, and view all of your determined goals and activities as functions of your imagination, working, guiding, encouraging, and even pushing you in the direction that intention had for you while you were still in an unmanifested state. You're looking for a vibrational matchup of your imagination and the source of all creation. Your imagination allows you the fabulous luxury of thinking from the end. There's no stopping anyone who can think from the end. You create the means and surmount limitations and connections with your desires. In imagination, dwell on the end, fully confident that it's there in the material world and that you can use the ingredients of the all-creative source to make it tangible. Since the source of everything proceeds with grace and its alluring 7 faces, then you too shall use this method and only this method to co-create all that you were intended to be. Become indifferent to doubt and to the call of your will. Remain confident that through continued reliance on your imagination, your assumptions are materializing into reality. Reconnecting to intention involves expressing the same seven faces that the all-creating source uses to bring the unmanifest into the manifest. If imagination works for God, then surely it works for you too. Through imagination, God imagines everything into reality. This is your new strategy as well. And that is part 1 of chapter 3. And I believe that it might be 2 more parts. So that was chapter 3, part 1. The Power of Intention by Dr. Wayne Dyer. So what do you guys think? What are you guys thinking of the book so far? I know I've seen a couple people are watching the video, but my videos, what are you thinking about what you're hearing about the power of intention? And please, by all means, go and listen to it over and over again, because I'm working on the mistakes. I'm not editing anything so far because I'm in a different location. And once I get my computer and stuff down here, then I might think about editing. But I just wanted it raw. I wanted it raw. And as I read more, I notice that I am getting better with the mistakes, because when I read, I can read really fast. So I have to slow my words down to catch up with my mind that's reading ahead of time. So, but part 2, chapter 3 tomorrow. See you guys. Have a great night.